Hi, today we are going to take a look at a horror movie titled Shrooms. Before we begin, shout out to Audio Alone, Jojai TV, and Benzi. If you want to get mentioned in our next video, subscribe and drop a comment. The story begins when a group of American teenagers arrive in Ireland and meet with a local resident and friend named Jake. They are planning to go camping where they will find psychedelic mushrooms. Jake shows them the magic mushroom they plan on finding in the forest, and he promises them a trip of a lifetime. They arrive at a grim-looking forest park and drive further in. Tara, the girl who is driving the van, suddenly hits something, and blood splashes across the windscreen. They get out of the vehicle to investigate, and notice that it is an animal that got hit. While deliberating their next move, two strangers appear with large axes. The teenagers figure out that the dead animal is supposed to be their dinner, so they drag the animal towards them. The strangers look creepy and they make weird noises. When they take the animal away, Jake explains that they are the indigenous people of the forest. They park at a clearing beside a lake and Jake tells everyone to hand over their mobile phones, explaining that they do not want to be texting their parents or calling the police while hallucinating. After setting up the campsite, they walk deep into the forest to look for magic mushrooms. While collecting mushrooms, they come across a rare mushroom known as the death bell. Jake explains that it is highly dangerous to consume it. It is believed that the death bell is like a portal to another dimension, and when consumed, it gives the person the ability to shapeshift, connect with the dead, and even predict the future. While wandering in the forest, Tara trips and falls near some death bell mushrooms. She did not hear Jake's explanation before, so she picks one up and eats it. Soon, she suffers a massive seizure, after which she experiences dreamlike trances. Jake finds her and carries her back to the campsite. Afterwards, Lisa puts her to sleep and everyone gathers around a fire and start telling ghost stories. Jake tells them a story of an empty children's home nearby that was owned by a religious order. At this home, there once lived a violent, sadistic monk who tortured the children and killed them. He once burned a boy's face and made him wear a sack over his head to hide the burns. The monk then killed this boy's twin brother and forced him to watch. Later, the lonely twin wanted to take revenge on the monk, so he poisoned him with death bell mushrooms. But the monk survived, and his hallucinations had caused him to massacre 78 people that night. The monk and the lonely twin are said to haunt the woods around here. The plan is for all to share the mushrooms in the morning. But Troy and Holly take some that night and have sex. While at it, they see a silhouette outside the tent, and assuming that it is Bluto, Troy confronts him. But Bluto and Lisa say they were sleeping in the whole time. After everybody settles in again, Tara starts to have premonitions. Meanwhile, Bluto drinks some of the mushroom tea and experiences a trip. He ventures into the forest and comes across a talking cow. He later finds a deserted car. Suddenly, a hooded figure appears and cuts off his penis and murders him. The scene soon cuts to Tara waking up in shock, indicating that she just had a premonition of Bluto's death. Tara goes into the forest looking for Bluto and finds him talking to a cow. She safely escorts him back to the tent and puts him to sleep. The following morning, Bluto is missing. Tara and Lisa go into the forest looking for him. Unconcerned by Bluto's disappearance, the others consume the mushroom tea. But Tara tells them that she had a bad dream about Bluto and insists that they find him soon. After having the tea, all of them go back into the forest calling out Bluto. Tara sees the hooded figure from her premonition again and she starts running, with Holly and Lisa behind her. They come to a halt and Tara tells the girls that she is seeing things before they actually happen. Holly cries, regretting taking the shrooms. A while later, Holly and Lisa get into an argument about Bluto and they fall into a pit. Then Lisa discovers Bluto's bloody corpse accidentally. Holly keeps saying, "It's just a trip, it's just a trip," but Tara points out that they all can't be having the same trip. Tara continues to trip hard and once again sees the black hooded figure. Afterwards, the girls get separated while running from the hooded man Tara is supposedly seeing. In a different part of the forest, Jake and Troy are also tripping hard and having scary visions. Holly arrives at a cabin in the woods, where she is invited in by the two strange men named Ernie and Bernie whom we met earlier in the movie. She asks to use a phone and the two men direct her to a broken phone. Then they tell her that they were once at the children's home, where they were locked up with pigs. Scared, Holly tells them of the hooded figure. The two men identify him as the Black Brother, the sadistic monk from the children's home. Tara starts having another premonition. This time she sees Holly running from someone. Tara reunites with Lisa and warns her that there is something evil happening in the forest. Jake and Troy find Tara on the bank of a river, and tell her to meet them in the abandoned children's home to summon help. Tara suffers another seizure, and this time she sees Holly again. When she wakes up from her seizure, she tells Lisa that Holly is dead, and asks her to look in the water. Lisa pulls out a rope and Holly's corpse appears out of the water. Frightened, Lisa leaves Tara behind and runs. She walks through a swamp to get to the other side. Behind her, the sadistic monk appears from under the water. Tara wakes up from another hard trip and realizes that Lisa is now dead too. She finds an axe and walks into the swamp with it, while having more hallucinations. She then comes across the abandoned children's home. She walks along the creepy corridors of the home, looking for Jake and Troy. After hearing Tara call out their names, the boys are not sure if they are tripping or if it's really her. Tara keeps seeing the monk and runs away from him. Eventually Troy gets killed and Jake escapes by jumping from a high window, breaking his leg as he lands. Tara finds him and the two flee the haunted scene. Tara stops running when she feels that the monk is following them again. While walking around with her axe, she has another premonition of the monk appearing from above a tree and killing Jake. When she turns around, Jake is fallen on the ground. Right before dying, Jake tells her, "I love you, Tara." She cries out loud and just then, sees the monk again. She runs away from him and bumps into the something, and the screen goes black. Tara awakes as a helicopter hovers over the camp. The police investigate the area and Tara is dispatched into an ambulance as the sole survivor. While the paramedic attends to her, his cell phone rings and Tara experiences a rapid flashback. She soon realizes that the death bell mushroom caused her to murder all of her friends. She asks the paramedic for help and everything becomes quiet, until we see her bloody hands holding a pair of bloody scissors, which suggests that she has killed the paramedic too. The film ends with Tara running in the woods, probably tripping harder than ever. What did you think of the ending of this movie? Comment your thoughts below, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more awesome movie recaps. Thanks, have a good day.